What is good, YouTube? This is your boy Aaron.
It's Brian.
This is the Courtside View podcast, and we are back today. And we were off last week, and so I just want to give my thoughts. The Seattle Seahawks, they obviously won the Super Bowl. Not the best Super Bowl. It was definitely one of the Super Bowls of all time. Um, Drake May, one of the worst
The
quarterback
schedule.
performances I've seen. The schedule, yeah. Not really much to say. It was pretty lopsided. It was pretty boring for the entire duration of the Super Bowl. Bad Bunny saved it, thank God. But besides that, I mean, it was nothing really to see.
Yeah, it was a thrashing. So
Pretty much.
I originally when I first saw them, I was like, this the Seahawks gonna win this easily, but I ain't expect it to be. And then I talked myself into the Patriots possibly making it a closer game. Then it was just bad from the get go. You could just tell the energy was off for the Patriots. If it looked like they low key kind of laid down at one point in the game and just like, you know what? I can only accept this. And they just kept getting whooped on because that punt that Mike Vrabel did on 4th and 1, and it was like midfield. I knew right then and there, I said, yeah, it's over. You don't go for it right there in that situation, you pretty much giving up.
Yeah, and what really highlighted how bad the Patriots offense was, it was the offensive line from the get-go. You could just tell that something was wrong.
Will
The fact
Campbell
that
was
they were
getting
getting cooked, cooked, bro. So when I was seeing how bad the offensive line was playing and not being able to hold up against the Seattle Seahawks front, it's like, yeah, this is gonna be a long day. I've seen this story written over and over again, and the same thing happened. The offensive line was atrocious, and Drake May, he still didn't play too well. I think he may have turned the ball over. He just wasn't all that good that game, and part of it was the offensive line, and also, yeah, not much else to
the
say. The defense played well though. The defense, they did
the
their
defense
thing.
did what they could, but
They Not much you can really do when your offense is consistently going three and out, not protecting the quarterback,
turning the
and
ball over.
giving Seattle good field position. Not much you could really do in that scenario. And this game showed why special teams is important, why people should value special teams. Because even when Seattle, when their offense wasn't able to produce points, as in touchdowns, they still made it difficult for the Patriots to get into good field position because their special teams was able to get the ball into like pretty far territory in terms of the Patriots. So like special teams is very important, man. And I just wish organizations would understand that more and value special teams more because the Seattle Seahawks showed why special teams is an important factor to a football game. So, so yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Shout
anywho,
out to the Seahawks.
yeah, shout out Seattle, man. That defense was amazing from start to finish. Kenneth Walker got Super Bowl MVP, and it proved that you don't need an elite quarterback to win the Super Bowl. You don't need your offense to score 30 to win a Super Bowl. You can just play all facets of the game really
Complimentary
well,
football.
complementary football. Just have good coaching, make sure your special teams is good, make sure you have the right defense in place with the right personnel and a good enough offense to produce points and not turn the ball over. And that's
Yep.
what they
Good
had.
coaching.
Good
Good
coaching.
good front office.
Good,
Gotta
man.
acquire the
Good.
players. Gotta acquire players. So yeah.
Got to draft well.
That they man, the Seahawks drafted very well.
Very
Low
well.
key. Like teams don't give them enough credit for how good they draft. They got Nick Warrior like the second or third round or something crazy like that.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So
All
hey,
right.
they laid out the blueprint. Let's see if any other teams follow.
All right. Well, I want to start by transitioning to the segment that I have been previewing, I have been saying we were going to do for the longest, but I've been holding out. Now we're here, end of the season, QB tier list. Here we go. I'm gonna start off first. I'm gonna share my screen. Um, Give me 1 second. Actually missing. Where is he? Okay, I'll just use my laptop. All right, here we go. Share my screen. Create NFL quarterback. Okay, let's see. So, QB tier list. Kind of spoiled everything, but I don't care. Here we go. So, to start it all off, this is how I look at everything. This is how um this is my criteria. One, in terms of injured, small sample size, if you haven't played at least 9 games, you're going to be on the injured slash small sample size. Obviously, injured, injuries like Jaden Daniels, um, Joe Burrow, those type of players who are in normal years when they're healthy, they play really good football. I'm putting them on the injured slash small sample size because for most of the season they were either hurt, they're missing a bunch of games, they didn't play in over half of the game. So I'm going to put those two quarterbacks in the injured slash small sample size. But as you can see, all these other QBs, albeit I could say that they're trash, but I'll be fair and I'll put these QBs like Shador, Russell Wilson, Dylan Gabriel, James Winston, all these guys. I'll put them on the small sample size to be fair. So that's how I look at it. Um, Now, when we look at trash, these guys have played over half of the season and they just weren't good. Simple as that. Geno Smith, who led the league in interceptions, you don't need much context to understand how bad Geno Smith was. I don't need to give you context on those interceptions. He was just plain bad. Simple as that. JJ McCarthy is the same thing. He was just plain bad. He was garbage. No ands, ifs, buts about it. Michael Penix Jr. He was another guy that we were expecting high hopes for in Atlanta, and he ended up stinking up the joint. The Falcons had aspirations to be at a certain level, and they weren't able to meet those expectations because Michael Penix was so god awful. Didn't matter that B. John was good. It didn't matter that the defensive front for the Atlanta Falcons was actually over exceeding expectations. Michael Penix was so god awful. Justin Fields, God bless Justin Fields, but you could just go to the stat sheet, go to the game logs, and you'll see how bad Justin Fields was. And what's his name? This dude right here.
Spencer Rattler.
Spencer Rattler, yeah. I would have put him below average, but before he got benched, wasn't all that good. So I'm putting Spencer Rattler at trash. Below average, Bryce Young. I know he had a really good playoff game and he's shown some bright spots. I'm not gonna put him at trash, but I'm not gonna put him in mid either. I think below average is fair. I still think he didn't play all that well this season. There was too many games where he just wasn't moving the needle at all. He was making so many mistakes, turning the ball over. and his size and his limitations in terms of being able to throw the football really showed itself this season, despite the fact that they were able to make it to the playoffs, albeit a trash division. But he showed a lot of limitations this season and why you should never draft a 5'9" QB first overall in the draft. Tua, I think everybody can understand why Tua is on a below average tier. I could
I
put
thought
him
he
in
would have been on
trash.
trash.
I could put him on trash, but I'll be nice. He did have a few games where he played okay. So I'll put him on below average. Cam Ward, I was conflicted on this one. It's going back and forth. Should I put him on mid tier?
I think
But
he deserves a mid tier.
really, oh, because of
Like
how
some
bad
of
his
the,
situation
yeah,
was.
his situation was god awful.
That's
He
true.
flashed a lot, made a lot of like flashes during this season, despite having I forgot who the wide receiver one was this year.
Calvin Ridley for a large portion of
Yeah,
it. Yeah,
yeah.
I understand what you're saying, but I think also he was at the same time he just made so many mistakes, albeit the personnel wasn't the greatest. I still think that there were some things that he did. It just didn't look good in the film room. So I'm still conflicted. You can if you want to argue to put Cam Ward in the mid tier, hey, I'm not going to argue with you. I think it's a coin flip for me, but I just decided to put him on below average. All right, let's go to the mid tier. This is going to be a hot take, but I got Lamar Jackson on the mid tier. I know some people are going to disagree with me, but here's my logic because I was going back and forth between putting him on I, which is pretty much like above average, or put him on mid tier. I put him on mid tier because when he came back, Brian, he just looked nothing like his MVP version. He was a shell of himself. Like he couldn't run like he used to. He wasn't passing the ball like he used to. The version of Lamar Jackson that we got once he came back from injury was nothing like the Lamar Jackson that we saw before he got injured. And the only time he showed any glimpses of his old self was the last game of the season. Before that, Lamar Jackson was pretty mediocre. So I got to put Lamar at mid. Baker Mayfield, you already know Baker Mayfield. Them first 6 games, he was
He was
MVP
cooking.
talk.
Yeah.
And then I want to say it was the Lions game. He just nosedived. Like it was, he fell off a cliff. Max Kellerman style, fell off a cliff after that. And he couldn't overcome it after that. I'm gonna be nice, and I'm gonna put CJ Stroud at mid. I'm gonna be
Mm.
nice. I feel like I'm being fair.
No, that's
CJ
fair.
Stroud, CJ Stroud, he's shown glimpses of being a good game manager. He's shown glimpses of not losing the game for crying out loud. They made the playoffs and they won a playoff game. A lot of that wasn't on him because he was awful in the playoff game, but he did enough to win the game. I'm gonna put him on mid because at the end of the day, yeah, he did enough for his team to go to the playoffs, but there's still something missing with him. He's so hot and cold, and he misses so many layups. He misses so many throws and reads that he should be making that there's no way in hell I can put him on I or above average. There's no way. Jalen Hurts is next for me. I know people are going to be like, "Well, look at the stats. His touchdown to interception ratio is so good." But look at the film. He did not play well. Just the accuracy, the plays that he just missing guys that are open. Devontae Smith, AJ Browns, like these guys, they're open and he's just not seeing them. And throughout the season, it wasn't just because Kevin Patullo was a horrible play caller. Some of it you have to put on Jalen Hurts, and there's been reports, Brian has talked about this before, where Jalen Hurts, you can only run a certain offense for Jalen Hurts. Like it has to be a specific offense in order for him to be effective. And if you don't run that offense, he's cooked. He's not going to be effective at all. He's a one trick pony, in my opinion. And with that, I put him on the mid tier. I have Jackson Dart on the mid tier as well. He showed a lot of flashes with his legs and sometimes with his arm ability, especially against the Eagles. I'll put Jackson Dart in mid. Daniel Jones, he started off really well, but then I want to say the Chiefs game, that's when everything started to nosedive, in my opinion, for the Colts. I think Daniel Jones started to regress slowly after that Chiefs game. And from then on, he just resorted back to looking like the Daniel Jones that we know him as. Because before that, he was playing like a top five QB. But just like with Baker Mayfield, I just felt like after that Chiefs game, the Colts offense just wasn't as effective when they started off the season when Jonathan Taylor was going crazy. Tyler Shuck, I also have him on this list. I thought he played really well in the second half of the season. He definitely him and I want to say it was Chris Olave. Those two guys they really formed a connection with one another. I think he won Rookie of the Year, Offensive Rookie of the Year. So yeah, I got to put Tyler Shuck on there. All right, let me speed this up. On all right, on I tier, I got Justin Herbert. That might be a bit of a hot take because some people may look at Justin Herbert's situation and say, hey, man, there's not really much he could do. And the fact that he was able to lead his team to the playoffs, which is a fair point. But I also think when you look at the playoff game, when he was gun shy and there was plays to be had, and then also throughout the season where he's turning the ball over, there'd be games where he's just turning the ball over like two times. I just think this is one of those down seasons for Justin Herbert. He was still okay. Doesn't mean he wasn't effective. It doesn't mean he's still not a top 10 QB, but I do think this was a down year for him. He still was okay, but I don't think Justin Herbert was playing to the level that we normally see him playing. Surprisingly, I know people are like, Aaron, you be hating on Caleb Williams. Listen, I give credit where it's due, and I put him on I. I think he played above average. His completion percentage isn't all that great. I think it's one of the lowest in terms of starting quarterbacks that have started over half the season. But I will give Caleb Williams credit on this. His touchdown to interception ratio is one of the best, one of the lowest in the league. He was very clutch in the fourth quarter. He led his team to the playoffs, to a division title, and a playoff win against my Green Bay Packers, which is unfortunate. He had over 20 touchdowns. I think he only had six or seven interceptions. So I got to give Caleb Williams credit. This is what I pretty much expected from Caleb Williams with Ben Johnson. Year one, I didn't think it was going to be pretty, but I think he did the most with what he can do, considering the limitations that he has had as a passer. So I think this is a fair ranking for Caleb Williams. I got Trevor Lawrence also on I. I think I think he played pretty well this year. I just think that he didn't start ramping it up until about I think the half after I think it was the second half of the year. That's when he started to really ramp it up. So with that being said, Trevor Lawrence to me, I'll just say he's on I. Aaron Rodgers, people are probably going to be like, Aaron, how can you have Aaron Rodgers at I? I didn't think Aaron Rodgers was all that bad this year. I thought the one of the bright spots of the Steelers season was actually Aaron Rodgers, considering he had one of the worst group of offensive weapons The only person he could really rely on in the passing game was DK Metcalf, and the running game was okay. The offensive line was okay. The play caller, we already know Arthur Smith is a terrorist in himself. So with that being said, taking context into the situation with the Steelers, I think Aaron Rodgers, he did okay. Bo Nix as well. I think Bo Nix was okay. He wasn't great. He wasn't bad. He wasn't mid. I thought he had some games throughout the year, throughout the season that showcased that, hey man, this guy, he can lead you to a Super Bowl potentially. How am I hating on Caleb Williams? Putting him on the I don't understand how that's bro. Oh my god, I'm gonna have a take on that later on. But Bo Nix, I thought Bo Nix, he was okay. I thought he did enough to where you can say, all right, he's good enough to lead you to a potential Super Bowl if you have the right pieces around him. I thought he played okay. Patrick Mahomes. I've been very critical of Patrick Mahomes throughout the season. Unfortunately, he had that gruesome injury. I forgot what week it was, but it's unfortunate that he got injured the way that he did. But again, Patrick Mahomes, his standards are so high that in a down year, some people may like, oh, Patrick Mahomes sucks. No, he didn't stink, but I do think he took a step back this season. The lack of accuracy in some throws, some of the decision making was not the greatest. So I got to put Patrick Mahomes on I. And then Brock Purdy, he's the last guy on I. I think Brock Purdy, he's still a really good quarterback. He's still one of the 15 best quarterbacks in the NFL. There are times where he, I don't know, turns the brain off, I guess you could say, and makes some boneheaded mistakes that you should make. And he also has some limitations. His size and the lack of athleticism, the lack of arm talent, it shows itself sometimes. And I think that has a detrimental effect on the 49ers offense. But I think he played okay this year. Let's get to good. This is where it gets very interesting. Let's get to good. Normally, I would put Drake May at elite because if you look at all the stats, EPA per drop pack, EPA per play, passer rating, QBR, completion percentage, touchdowns to interception ratio, Drake May is up there. But we got to put everything into context. And I also have to subtract some points because of that playoff run, because he was awful in the playoff run. So because of that, I gotta put Drake May on good, which is not bad. That's not bad at all. Good is that. That's really good. That is good. Jordan Love, I gotta put him on good as well. He's not quite elite, but I will say Jordan Love was really good this year. He's one of the best in EPA per play. His completion percentage, despite the fact that his weapons weren't the greatest, I think he had like maybe 66% completion percentage, which is really good. His touchdown to interception ratio was one of the best in the NFL. Passer rating was one of the best in the NFL. I want to say QBR was one of the best in the NFL. So Jordan Love was exceptional. He was one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the NFL this season. So I got to put Jordan Love up there. Josh Allen as well. Although Josh Allen didn't play like he did last year, I still think that Josh Allen was still really, really good throughout the season. Um, as you know, Brian, he was on your salute segment, I think either 3 or 4 times. He had 3 or 4 of the best games this season, so I got to put him on good.
Yeah.
I just think there was something missing with him, a lack of consistency sometimes, where I just can't put him on elite. Like there was games where he would have those duds where he would turn the ball over too
The
much, or
Eagles game,
the
he wasn't good.
Eagles game, he wasn't
He
good.
wasn't good.
Texans game, he wasn't good. Like it was too many games, too many instances where you're hoping for Josh Allen to be elite, and he just ended up playing like a pumpkin out there. So with that being said, I got Josh Allen on just good. Sam Darnold, this may be a bit of a hot take, but I got Sam Darnold on good. I think he had a really good season. I think for what it's worth. I know the running game was exceptional for the Seahawks. I know the defense was amazing. Yes, there was a lot of variables in play. It wasn't just Sam Darnold leading the way, but I do think Sam Darnold, given the situation, given what they were asking him to do, I thought he did pretty well. Did he turn the ball over a little bit too much to my liking? Yes, but I do think overall he did just enough, and he made just enough plays when it matters most, especially against the Rams. That solidified him as he had a good season when he did that thing when he did it against the Rams. I just think Sam Darnold was really really good this year. Dak Prescott as well, despite the fact that the
My
Cowboys didn't make
goat.
the playoffs. The fact that he was able to lead one of the best offenses in the NFL, even when CeeDee Lamb was out with the injury, or was
It was
was it
he
injury?
was injured. He had a sprained ankle.
So yeah, even when CeeDee Lamb was out with an injury, him and George Pickens was still going crazy, especially against my Packers, who at the time the defense was amazing. The fact that he was able to go toe to toe with my Packers with that garbage defense, I got to put Dak on good tier. And Jared Goff, I know some people they think that Jared Goff had a down year or something like that, or that Jared Goff wasn't all that good. I want you to go look up his stats and come back to me, and you'll probably have a different opinion because when you look at his stats is up there. Completion percentage, touchdowns to interception, passing yards. Jared Goff still had an amazing season despite the fact the Lions were able to make the playoffs. So, with that being said, I think Jared Goff still had a good year despite the fact that the Lions um, they underachieved. And then finally, to wrap it up, there was only one quarterback, in my opinion, this season that had an elite year, and that is the MVP, and that is Matthew Stafford. When you look at Matthew Stafford's stats, it's up there with some of the best. 46 touchdown passes. I want to say over 4,500 passing yards. I think he had single digit interceptions. Matthew Stafford, this is one of the best QB seasons we've seen in a minute. Like it's up there with Rodgers, it's up there with Mahomes, it's up there with some Brady seasons, with Peyton Manning seasons. He had a really, really good year. This was a great year for Matthew Stafford, and even in the playoffs when he was looking a bit shaky sometimes, he was still able to deliver when it mattered most. Now he wasn't able to beat the Seahawks, but he still put on a show against the Seahawks. He had like 3 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions. I think he had maybe over 300 yards passing. So that is my list. And I'll let Brian go next.
Finally.
I know. I was talking a lot.
It's okay, man. I won't take as much time up because I know you're immediately gonna hate this list because of who's
We'll
at the
see.
top. You
We'll
are gonna
see.
hate it. But
You're
hey
gonna
man,
put
this is how
Mahomes
I
on the
feel.
list. You're
Of
gonna put
course I
Mahomes
am.
on the top. Oh my God, you're
Of
biased.
course I am.
You're
Listen,
biased,
Mo
bro.
Mahomes is good money in my book. I'm sorry.
Oh my
I have
God.
he didn't play great this year. I'm gonna get into the whole thing. Let me share this. Let me add this to the stage.
Oh
All
my
right. Now
goodness.
I did mine's a little differently than everybody else. There's some
Okay.
QBs missing. The one I had didn't have like Penix on it. They had
Uh
Kirk
huh.
though, so whatever. I'm gonna go top to bottom. Who cares? Listen, who cares about these two? Well, actually, one Ewers, he ain't even get enough reps to even qualify for anything. And we all know Tyrod Taylor is just Tyrod Taylor. Disappointing tier. I have JJ McCarthy because he was very much disappointing, and Shador Sanders. And I know he didn't have much of a sample size, but for as much gas as everybody tried to give him pre-draft and say, oh, he should have won in the first round and all that stuff, I'm expecting him to get in that Jones and start going crazy. He had some splash plays and made some flashes here and there, but overall, he ended his EPA was like worse than 32. He's like the 34th EPA or something crazy like that. That's I'm sorry, that's not a good performance. Uh, you got the Daniel Jones tier because he's Daniel Jones. I mean, he's injured. He's just Daniel Jones. This is the outstanding tier, aka the wash tier. Um, you could put Aaron Rodgers in the good starters or kind of like a mid category, But I'd say this because like future projection wise, Aaron Rodgers ain't really what you want to look for a longer term option at QB. So I got Kirk Cousins who's about to get released. Even he thought he was about to. Even he thinks he's about to get released. You got Aaron Rodgers, Jacoby Brissett, and Geno Smith had that super awful year. He stunk it up in Oakland. He was a tank commander. It was just bad for him. You got the promising rookies tier. You got Cam Ward. I liked what I saw from him. At certain times he would make some incredible throws. He carried himself as a leader, like he was almost a vet in the locker room. Maybe too much of a leader because sometimes some of the stuff he's saying to me, I'm like, he act like he been in the league for 6-7 years or something like that. Jackson Dart had some really good games. Especially that game against the Eagles, and he had a pretty decent game against the Cowboys at the end of the year, but we were trying to lose. Tyler Shuck showed a lot of people play much better than I thought he would. I clowned the Saints for making this pick back in April, but he came in and played some pretty solid ball. The next tier is the do not pay $200 million tier, and we got Bryce Young and CJ Stroud in it. Because let me tell you something, we saw how the playoffs went. Bryce Young had a good game, but CJ Stroud was just awful. And he's not bad. I'd say he's like mid to me because he would have some really good games like, yo, this is the number one overall pick we was looking for. Then this other game, it's like, brother, what are you doing? So since he can't be really classified in that solidified area, we just putting him in don't pay $200 million. I would not pay either of these cats $200+ million. Next tier, we got the good starters tier. I probably in retrospect, I should have put Drake May in the top 10 candidate tier because he was the MVP runner-up. Is only fair. So I would make that switch up. But Drake May, had a really good year. That I did dock points because of that playoff run, which probably, weighed playoff run ran heavy on my weight scale. But yeah, Drake May's on there. Brock Purdy, he's a good starter. No, that's really say fringe top 10 guy. No, Trevor Lawrence, fringe top 10 guy, top 15 dude. Sam Darnold won a Super Bowl, but I'm not going to solidify him as a top 10 QB. Caleb Williams showed a lot of promise this year. He made some fantastic throws, especially outside the pocket and extending plays and everything. But I think he has like the lowest completion percentage of a starting QB this year, where that played majority of that started like every game. So, which is a 58%, I believe, which is not great. So while he makes the splash plays, but he still has to hit the layups. So once he learns to do that, I'll put Caleb Williams at the top 10 if he can learn to hit the layups. Jalen Hurts, what a down year for Jalen Hurts. I know people say, oh, but like you said, oh, but it is turnover to touchdown to turnover. Bruh, we watched the games. We have watched the games. Jalen Hurts was not great this year at all. And people want to say Kevin Patullo, he was awful out there. But Jalen Hurts did miss a lot of throws. He left a lot of throws on the field. I'll say that. Baker Mayfield started off red hot. First 5 weeks of the season, man. Buccaneers had like 1 or 2 losses. People was throwing him in MVP convos, and then it all just went boom, and it just bad, man. Like towards the end of the season, he was so bad. I benched him in my fantasy championship game. I couldn't he was bad. He was bad. Who did I start in the championship? I started well, I can't remember. I started Jared Goff in the championship game because that's how bad Baker Mayfield was. And then Bo Nix, man, Shane Bo Nix got hurt in that chance. I do full-heartedly believe they would have beat the Patriots if he was able to play in that AFC Championship game. But Bo Nix, a step back from his rookie season, I'll admit. But when he needed to show up, he did. So he's a good starter in my eyes. All right, next tier is the top 10 candidates. These are guys that if you said they were top 10 QBs in the league, I'm not even going to fight you on it. Matt Stafford, in my opinion, is QB4 or QB5 at worst in the NFL right now. That man was doing some crazy. He was the only QB for real to really get his game off against Seattle. I know that Phillip Rivers game, but I don't know if they had all their players or not, but man, Matt Stafford put up 400 yards. He had like 800 yards and 8 touchdowns and 0 picks against the Seahawks this year. Like this man is a monster. Joe Burrow, not the greatest season for him. The Bengals was disappointing as a whole. We won't get into that with the whole report card things we got coming up in a little bit. But Joe Burrow's Joe Burrow. Is what it is. Still got those crazy weapons. Dakota Rain Prescott, my dog Dak, he was out there hooping with CD, without CD. George Pickens had a career year with him. Jake Ferguson had the most touchdowns for a tight end in the NFL, I believe. Offense was a top 5 offense in my eyes, but that defense, the fact that they were able to win 7 games with a historically bad defense should tell you everything you need to know about Dak in that offense and Brian Schottenheimer's job of getting that offense really like elite level. Jordan Love, man, despite the Packers not having many weapons like at all, they missed Christian Watson for like nearly half the year, and he was still out there producing with Romeo Dobbs and whoever at the wide receiver 1. And then Matt LaFleur didn't want to get Matthew Golden their top. But what did y'all draft Matthew Golden in the 20s?
Yeah, the 20s.
Yeah, the first round pick. Didn't want to get him involved until literally the final game of the season, and then they end up losing. But whatever. Jordan Love, man, he's acting for QB, man. He's really, really good. Jared Goff gets a lot of flack from the online, like social media and stuff, because he's not. He'll never be like elite. But for what Jared Goff is asked to do, he does it pretty well. He's accurate. Only thing Jared Goff can do at times where if you get a lot of pressure on him, he can just fold, which is one of his biggest drawbacks. But Jared Goff, when everything is normal, everything is cool, he will light you up. Trust me, I've seen it before. So yeah, Jared Goff definitely in that top 10 for me. Justin Herbert, he gets it done in the regular season with subpar talent and scheme, but every time the playoffs hit, it's like, who is this guy? It's like he body swaps during the playoffs, but I still give him that top 10 rank. He has a heck of an arm talent. If he just puts it all together in January, he will be a bona fide top 5 guy in my eyes. Despite the injuries, they had like 4 or 5 injuries this year. And despite the Commanders only winning about 5 games, I still have Jaden Daniels in top 10 territory because that 2024 season was special. And when Jaden Daniels did play, he wasn't awful. He wasn't, honestly, he wasn't even bad. He had probably the most injured team in the league. He also was dealing with Cliff Kingsbury calling foolishness. I believe the Commanders had 27 snaps under center the entire year. We need to see Jaden Daniels in a true NFL style offense where we're implementing often play action, operating from under the center, and having a true run game. Because they were relying on 7th round pick Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt to carry the load for them. That is just suboptimal. Jaden Daniels, he can only do so much out there. Now, here's where the controversy begins, because Aaron, he's been on the why are you ranking Pat Mahomes so high trend for the past 2-3 years. But let me tell you something. Pat Mahomes is still Pat Mahomes. I'm telling you, the Chiefs were something was wrong with the Chiefs this year. Because Matt Nagy, I don't know what he was implementing in the meetings. I know people say, oh, Andy Reid was calling the plays, but it's no coincidence that once Matt Nagy came on board, the offense started plummeting. There's no coincidence in that. I'm sorry. Matt Nagy, they was calling foolishness. And his wide receiver 1 is out here catching charges of abuse and he crashing cars and trying to flee the scene. And then his second wide receiver, Xavier Worthy, he run fast, but he ain't getting open. And I mean, and that guy Isaiah Pacheco, choppy feet running in place, but he think he going 20 miles an hour. I'm sorry. I'm not in the offensive line was still bad. I'm gonna give Pat Mahomes a little bit. If he doesn't perform up to par next year, fine, I'll drop him. I will drop him officially. But until then, I got to give him a little bail on this one. Lamar Jackson, he did not play great this year. And I'm pretty sure it's because of injury. But when he was on the field, it wasn't great. But I take Lamar over still 90% of these dudes, 95% of these dudes in the NFL, because I've seen what he does when he's fully healthy and the offense isn't just garbage. Todd Monken, I don't know what he was doing at times. And then obviously the John Harbaugh stuff, it was just a poop show. It was a poop show. That team severely underachieved, and yeah, that's just what it is. And Josh Allen, man, this was the year for you, man. This was the opportunity for you to put your name in NFL history as one of the best QBs we've seen play and actually win a ring. But he folded 4 turnovers in the playoffs, divisional round. But still got to give him that credit. He played really good this year. I think he was third in MVP voting, I want to say. But I'm not gonna merch it or anything. But yeah, man. So that's my list, man. Pretty similar to what it looked like kind of last year, but obviously we got some new faces in the mix. Like Drake May and things of that nature. Caleb Williams is much higher than he was last year. So yeah, that's my list. That's my list.
Mm. All right. I get your logic. I get it. You're not going off of like just 1 year when it
Yeah,
comes to the great
it,
QBs.
it's
You
like
want
a
to give them
mixture
some grace.
between the pre. It's like a mixture between what I saw from them this past season and what I project to see from them next year, or their
And that
standing
I
going
can
into next
understand.
year.
That I can understand. If you were grading it on the same way that I was grading it, then I would be like, all right, you tripping. But because you're doing it differently, it makes sense.
Yeah,
My only pushback will be, I would say Jaden Daniels and Drake May.
switch them.
I would switch him just because
That's fair.
I think Drake May, his season was better than Jaden Daniels' rookie season. I would switch him. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
but
Yes.
but
Regular
is
season.
that
Regular
because he
season.
just played all that well, or is it because QB play around the league just was down? Because last year, Jaden Daniels, he had to compete with Lamar Jackson, he had to compete with Josh Allen, and some other like Saquon Barkley had a crazy like he had to
He
compete with
did.
a lot of dudes for that MVP slot, and he still received a few votes, I believe.
He did. He did. But Drake May's numbers, I think, are better. I think
I'll
Drake
give you
May
that.
had a. I think just statistically, Drake May had a better season. I think he was a better passer this year compared to Jaden Daniels last year, even though Jaden Daniels was very efficient. I just think overall, Drake May this year, he just reached a higher ceiling than Jaden Daniels last year. Even though Jaden Daniels, he was really good for a good portion of the year. I just think Drake May, what he did this season, for a large part of the year, he was arguably the best quarterback. He was arguably playing the best football out of any quarterback this season. But then, Stafford, he also had to come in and say, no, 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 not today. Not today. It's not your time
Watch
yet,
out,
young
young
fella.
blood.
It's not your time yet. I've been waiting 15 years, I've been competing against Rodgers and Breeze and Peyton Manning and Tom
Brady
Brady
and
for so
yeah,
long.
Cam Newton
It,
that one year, yeah.
Cam Newton, it's my time. It's my time. It's not your turn yet. So,
Mahomes,
but yeah,
Lamar, them, yeah.
Mahomes,
Yeah.
Allen, Lamar too. But yeah, man, I think Drake May, his season was so exceptional. It's just unfortunate that that playoff run was
Ugh,
just bad overall. But but yeah, man, those really the ones that I would switch. Just looking at
that's fair.
the way that you're grading everything and listing everything, I don't think it's all that bad. Because I agree. For a large part, I think Jalen Hurts. I would also put Jalen Hurts on don't pay 200 million.
Mm. Well, the damage already been done. So
It is already done. He already getting paid 200 plus million. But yeah, I would also put Jalen Hurts in that
if
category.
this was current contracts included, man, I'd put Trevor Lawrence there. I'd put Brock Purdy there. I'd put Hurts there.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, Jalen Hurts. I wouldn't classify him as a good starter.
You don't think
But
so?
since
In my
no,
opinion, if you can win a Super Bowl with you starting, you're a good starter.
hmm. So would you say
So
Nick Foles is a good starter?
absolutely not. See,
what
that's an
what
outlier. We can't. We that's an
what
outlier.
what about Trent Dilfer or yeah,
Again,
Trent Dilfer.
outlier.
Outlier. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
All right.
outlier.
Okay. That's fair enough. Fair enough.
Now, if
Um,
you said someone like Joe Flacco, I was like, nah,
mm.
because
Cause
we
he's
all know that defense is the reason they won that Super Bowl. At least Jalen Hurts had a really good performance in the Super Bowl.
I mean, hey, Joe Flacco had that crazy playoff run. That was a crazy playoff run in
It
2012,
was. But Nick
2013,
Foles
I think.
kind of had a
Yeah.
crazy one too. But we all
He
saw what
did, he
happened when
did.
he got more reps.
Hey, but at least you know what? At least Joe Flacco was the starter for the entirety of the season. But
That
anywho,
is true.
um, I'm not gonna fight you on it. The way that you were grading everything is not the same as mine, so I'm not gonna fight you on it. Um, let's go to the report cards, man. Let's talk
Mm,
about these report cards for each team. Uh, let's start off with the NFC East. Let's start off with the Philadelphia Eagles. Um, I would give the Philadelphia Eagles a B minus. I would give them a B minus. They won the division, so you're obviously going to get a decent grade just off of the fact that you won your division. You won, I think they won 11 games, which is it's not easy to do. But I give them a B minus because you won the Super Bowl in 24, and then the next year you nosedive. The offense wasn't even close to the same. Jalen Hurts regressed. AJ Brown regressed. Saquon Barkley regressed. The defense was still pretty good, but it wasn't. I wouldn't say it was. Uh, Defense was still pretty good. Defense was still pretty good, but offensively was atrocious. So I give him a B minus.
I gave him a B minus too. Pretty much for what you said. For what that team was projected to be, it was a disappointment. But they still made the playoffs. Still won the division. They lose at home to the playoffs, which docked some points from them. But at least they fired the people responsible for. But they still got Ariani. So
And Jalen Hurts. They still got Jalen Hurts.
yeah,
So
yeah. So
they're gonna have to
yeah,
deal with that.
yeah. B minus is appropriate for them.
Yeah, B minus. Moving on. Commanders F.
I gave him
F.
an F too.
F. Like disaster season. Guys got
Yeah,
hurt. Jaden Daniels. He didn't even play all that well in the 2025 season. Defense was old, terrible. Offense, no firepower. Terry McLaurin was out for whatever reason. That whole debacle. F.
yeah. I gave him an F too. It's just complete mismanagement. The offseason moves they made were underwhelming. They were injured to the high heavens, and they ended up getting rid of both coordinators. It was just a bad time for them. So yeah,
Marshawn Lattimore was garbage. Yeah, it was a
big garbage.
horrible, horrible disaster. After going to the NFC Championship the previous season, and then this season they just wet the bed and they fall off a cliff instantly,
Yeah.
easily F. Moving on, Giants. I would give them a D minus. Uh,
Mm.
I thought I thought you know what? I give him a D plus. I give him a D plus. Here's why. I didn't have much expectations for the Giants anyway. You know, a lot of people were hyping them up. Oh, their defensive line is amazing. I was like, bro, doesn't matter. They still got too many holes on that offense and defense. I give him a D plus because Jackson Dart did show really good signs. Um, when Malik Neighbors was healthy, he was still really good. So I'll give him a B. I'll give him a D plus just off of that.
I gave him a C minus.
Wow, a C minus.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I mean C minus D. It's about the same to me, but it's just they fired the head coach in the middle of the season. Injuries, mismanaging injuries and concussions and stuff. A lot of things went wrong for them. D line, while they were good, but like Abdul Carter didn't jump off, like didn't take the lead by storm like many thought he would. But he still had a good year, in my opinion. The defense was bad. The offense barely had any weapons out there. So yeah, Jackson Dart did show improvement, but he was in and out that injury tent. So I'll give him a C minus.
C minus. Okay, that's fair.
Let's see if we on the
Um,
same page about them,
the
about them
Cowboys.
Cowboys. Yeah,
So the Cowboys. Coming into the season, I wasn't expecting much from them in the first place because their defense, with the Micah trade and everything, I'll give them a C plus. I
mm.
think they were competitive. They were very competitive in a lot of games. Their offense was one of the best in the NFL. Dak Prescott had arguably the best season he ever had. George Pickens was amazing. CeeDee Lamb was still really good, although he had some blunders throughout the season, not being able to catch the ball consistently. Terrence Ferguson was okay.
Terrence
Terrence
Ferguson.
Ferguson was Jake Ferguson.
It's Jake
Jake
Ferguson.
Ferguson, Terrence Ferguson.
That's an
Anyway,
NBA player, ain't it?
yeah.
Yeah.
Jake Ferguson. He was okay. Offensive line was pretty good. Running game was okay with Javonte Williams. But the defense was awful. Just plain awful. Even with
I
Kenny
think they
Clark,
had. I think they had the
yeah,
sixth worst DVOA in NFL history.
defense was just awful. People was hyping up, man, what about that run defense with Kenny Clark? It didn't matter.
They finished 20th in run defense.
It didn't matter. So I give him a C plus.
I gave them just a C because
Oh, see.
you already started off the season on a bad foot by trading Michael Parsons a week before the season started. So and you ain't have no plan to replace him. Then you kept on to Matt Eberflus for the entire season and was trying to shoot him bail throughout the media. One of the saving graces was you did trade for Quentin Williams midseason. He's going to be in the future plans, and he had a good impact. You went on a little win streak, 3-game win streak or whatever. Woohoo! Offense was pretty good. Brian Schottenheimer did establish some good things, like we don't care how much of a star you are. If you breaking rules and stuff, you will be disciplined in the games, and so I like that part about it. And they did end up trying to correct the problem by firing Matt Eberflus and hiring a young talented guy like Christian Park. So I'll give him a C. I'll give him a C or a C plus, but I'm gonna stick with C.
Okay, that's fair.
We're
And then
pretty
yeah,
in the same wavelength with these grades so far.
yeah. So that's the NFC East. Let's go to the NFC North. Let's go to NFC North.
We might
Let's
be
go
way
to
off on this one.
let's go to the Packers. Packers. You know what? I'm gonna agree. First of all, I'm gonna go back the NFC East. I'm gonna agree with you on the C for Cowboys because I'm gonna give the Packers a C plus.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, I'm gonna give them
Mm.
a C plus. Yeah. Here's why. Because the expectations coming into the season.
People were saying y'all were going to be Super Bowl contenders. I do remember that. Yeah.
And after 2 games, if you remember, we beat the Lions convincingly, and then we beat the Commanders. People was hyping us up. Man, we're the best team in the league. Rasheed Walker came out like, man, we could go undefeated. Why can't we go undefeated? Saying all this crazy stuff. We were looking like we were going to be one of those teams that year, but we ended up not being the team. We went all in. We traded for Micah. We did everything. Free agency. We went out and got Aaron Banks. We gave him all that money. We gave that corner from the Raiders all that money. Like we did Nate Hobbs. Like we did all this stuff to try to compete because we felt like we have enough pieces. We got the quarterback. We got enough offensive weapons, and maybe the offensive line could gel together and protect Jordan Love consistently. It was none of that. The injuries derailed us. I will say that had a large part into why we underachieved this year. But even still, I give them a C plus because yes, they made it to the playoffs. But the fact that you lost, I think we lost 5 straight to end the season, and going into the playoffs, I don't care what anybody says. It doesn't matter how many injuries we had. We should have won that game against the Bears. You do not blow. I think I want to say it was a 21-3 lead, 21-3, 21-6, 21-6 lead against the Bears. You do not blow that lead in the playoffs, especially when you're the more experienced team. When you're the team that has been in the playoffs before. When you're Matt LaFleur, that has gone through the trials and tribulations, that has been through different scenarios in playoff games. The fact that you imploded against a team like the Bears with a first year head coach, with a quarterback that has not been on that stage, with a quarterback that, let's be honest, didn't play all that well that game until the fourth quarter. I have to dock them points. I have to subtract some points because of the way that they finished the season. And that's why I give them C plus. Underachieving in that playoff game. If they win the playoff game, I'll probably give them maybe a B minus or a B. But because the fact that they lost to the Bears in that fashion, when they had that big of a lead, and Jordan Love was balling that game. He had 3 touchdowns. He was making all types of throws, and you lose. I'm giving you a C plus.
I gave y'all a B.
Yeah, you're being too nice. You're being too kind.
Or B minus, but I gave y'all a B because like y'all was getting cooked by injuries, and I mean y'all still were relatively like competitive. Granted, y'all did go on a losing streak at one point. Y'all did blow a lead in the playoff, which is not great. But with all the things going wrong to get to where you guys went, I'll give you a B or B minus. I'll lean B minus. I'll lean B minus instead of a B. But yeah, man, I feel like you got a lot of good things out of your offense, despite the offense being bad at times, like for Matt because play calling or coaching and players getting hurt. Jaden Reed was hurt for some weeks. Christian Watson took a minute to come back. Matthew Golden just wasn't even getting in the mix. So I mean, I feel like for what occurred, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and give you a B minus.
I guess. I guess. I
Malik
you know
Willis coming in and playing good ball. So I mean,
that's
yeah,
true. That's true. But just knowing the talent that was still on the field and how bad the coaching was at times, especially on special teams. I just felt like this team, even with the amount of injuries, should have performed better. There was a lack of
man.
discipline at times. They were making a lot of mental mistakes that they shouldn't have, especially for a team that's been in the playoffs multiple seasons. I just think overall it was a bit of a disappointment. It was a bit of a letdown, even though there was injuries. You should have at least beaten the Bears, even on the road. You should have at least gotten a win against the Bears. And that being said, I have to dock them points to a C plus. I can't give them grace. I just can't. Moving on, let's go to the Detroit Lions. I have to give them dog. Oh man, I have to give them. I think I have to give them the same score as the Cowboys. A C.
Yep, that's what I gave him.
I think they obviously underachieved this year. Some injuries happen. It seems like every year the Lions are dealing with some sort of injuries. But even still, they still had Jameer Gibbs, they still had Penei Sewell, they still had Jared Goff, they still had um Amon-Ra St. Brown. They still had enough pieces on that team. And the fact that the offense, especially later down the year, was very inconsistent. When Dan Campbell took over the play calling, oh my gosh. Like he was just calling some BS at times. He was going for it on fourth down so many damn times. I'm like, bro, chill out. Just take the field goal. I'm gonna go with a C.
Yeah, I gave him a C for a multitude of reasons. The defense, they got back Hutch, but didn't really improve much. Because other guys went down, like Kirby Joseph just randomly got hurt and it was just done for the year. With a knee injury, I believe. Terry and Arnold wasn't good. Then he ended up getting hurt. Brian Branch ended up getting hurt. It's just everything went bad. And the offense that was the most Teflon part of the team, you could say, started underperforming as the season went on. Like you said, once Dan Campbell started taking over play calling, the offensive line regressed. The running game wasn't as elite as we would expect it to be. And Jared Goff had moments where he was like, "Oh, brother, here goes the Jared Goff people be getting on." So yeah, I'll give him a C. I just feel like the GM didn't really do much. The team didn't try to really get much better throughout the season. Like they were inactive at the trade deadline. So yeah, I'll give him a C.
hmm Let's go to the Vikings. The Vikings, they funny enough, they finished 9-8.
I
The
know.
Vi the Vi Despite the fact that they had horrible QB play. The Vikings. we had expectations for the Vikings. We thought they were going to be competitive. I'm gonna give them a C plus. Here's why. They had expectations. People thought JJ McCarthy was supposed to be this godsend and that he was gonna, elevate this team. I give them a C plus because they went 9-8, despite the fact that JJ McCarthy was god awful. The defense was still relatively decent. I still think I still think they were being coached well. Brian Flores, he did his thing. I'm gonna give them a C plus because despite bad QB play, they still were able to compete to a certain extent. Um, I'm not gonna talk about that whole Sam Darnold situation. I'm just speak on what happened throughout the season because the whole Sam Darnold situation that's a whole other conversation. But I'm gonna give him a C plus.
Um, I gave this. I believe I gave the Vikings what I gave. Yeah, I gave the Vikings a C, like the Lions, because they did end up winning 9. They would have lower grade if they didn't win like 9 games. So the fact that they had all that stuff go wrong, they had injuries, JJ McCarthy being the biggest, huge letdown for them, but that defense was still cream of the crop. Brian Flores had those guys balling. Um, but yeah, so I gave him a C for that. Kevin O'Connell, he tried his best, but and they fired Quezzy. So they got some work to do. They got some work to do to get
They
back
do,
on track because
yeah,
also
especially at the
letting
quarterback
them,
position.
yeah, yeah. So I gave him a C.
All right, last NFC North team, the Chicago Bears. I'm
I
gonna be
will go
objective.
first. I'm gonna go first.
All right,
I
go ahead.
gave the Bears an A. I
Mm,
gave them an A because they went from picking in the top, well, they could pick like 8 top 10 to go into the divisional round of the playoffs. And Ben Johnson came in and completely changed that team up, top to bottom. And yeah, Caleb Williams, he showed some progression, not as much progression as we thought he would, as far as like intermediate game or short game and all that stuff. But he did show some promises. He made some crazy plays. But yeah, Ben Johnson that team was completely different compared to the Matt Eberflus ran Bears. And the defense turned around too. I think they led the league in turnovers or takeaways, I believe. So yeah, I gave them an A. They really achieved expectations because I thought they would be good, but I didn't expect them to win a playoff game.
yeah, I give them an A as well. They over exceeded expectations. I thought this would be the worst team in the division. I thought they were going to be competitive, but I didn't think they were going to win the division and win a playoff game and be one of the most clutch teams in the
Exactly.
NFL the entire
Seven
season.
seven comeback winnings, I believe,
Yeah.
or
And
game winning.
then
Yeah.
And then Caleb Williams, he progressed. He still has a lot to work on, but he progressed as a lot of people predicted he would. Ben Johnson was amazing in his play calling. He's an amazing head coach. He's already the best head coach in the NFC North after one season, which is crazy to say. And like you mentioned on the defensive side, they weren't great, but they did enough to give the Bears offense a chance, and they were able to produce turnovers for them, and that's huge because when you're trying to win football games, when you're trying to come back in games, you need your defense to get the ball back to you, and that's what the Bears did a lot of times. And even against the Rams, a really good team that I thought was going to win the Super Bowl, they were very competitive against the Rams, and they nearly beat the Rams if Caleb Williams didn't you know what down the field. But anywho, the Bears, man, they did a really good job this year. They over exceeded by a lot. I thought they were gonna be better, but I didn't think it was gonna be like this. So now I gotta give them an A. Gotta give them credit where it's due. So moving on up. Let's go to the NFC South. Ugh, this is gonna be very tough. It's gonna be a dud. NFC South. Let's go to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm gonna give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers give them
I give him a C minus.
a C minus. I can understand that.
They had expectations. People thought Baker was going to be take that leap and it was looking promising at first. Then injury struck. The defense just was bad from a defensive head coach. Emeka Buka trailed off and was doing next to nothing towards the end of the year. It was just a collapse for them, a complete collapse. Injuries was piling up. It just went bad for them,
Yeah, I agree.
and they end up keeping Todd Bowles for another year. So
Yeah, yeah. Defense wasn't all that great. Offense, they were dealing with some injuries to the receivers, but at the end of the day, like Baker Mayfield, you got to play better. Um, yeah, you know what? C minus. That's fair. That's fair because in the NFC South, the fact that they weren't able to get over 500 in that division is a travesty. The fact that they weren't even able to win the division because some crazy tiebreaker and stuff like that, crazy tiebreaker scenario, which they did to themselves by losing all those games. I can see a C minus. C minus C is fair. It's fair. All right, let's move to the Carolina Panthers. I give the Carolina Panthers. I give them a C plus. I give them a C plus. The team over exceeded expectations a little bit. I will say some players on that roster that I didn't really care for actually over exceeded their expectations. The running game was really effective for them. Ted McMillan, he showed flashes throughout the season, and he was okay in the playoff game. The defense was really good. J.C. Horn was able to stay healthy for once, which is
I
a
know.
great sign because normally he's always on IR for whatever reason. Um, but yeah, man, I thought the Panthers they had an okay season, despite the fact that Bryce Young very limited as a quarterback.
I gave the Panthers a B minus
Wow. Okay.
because while we did see some progression in Bryce Young game, he still showed flashes of his old self from his first two seasons in the league. But the defense improvement was really uh what's carrying this grade for me personally because like those guys are the secondary especially was out there going crazy so yeah they made the playoffs. They took the Rams down to the wire. um
Mhm.
they won the division, but it wasn't by much. But they did win the division. So, and I didn't have them win the division this year. So I'll give them a B minus.
Okay. I mean that's fair. C plus B minus. That's
Yeah,
about
it's
right.
pretty same thing, pretty much.
That's about right.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Saints. I give the Saints a C. I wasn't expecting much from the Saints this year, and they didn't win a lot of games, but they were very competitive, especially
Yeah.
when Tyler Shuck came in at QB. So I'm gonna give the Saints a C because that offense, I was impressed by how productive the offense was with Tyler Shuck and Chris Olave. Chris Olave was finally able to stay healthy for an entire season, and guess what happened? He was able to get All Pro because he stayed
Oh, he
healthy.
made all pro.
I think he did. Yeah, second team
Mm,
All Pro. So
interesting.
yeah, so yeah, man. Hey, I give him a C.
I gave the Saints a C plus because
Wow. Okay.
yeah, I liked what I saw, especially towards the end of the year for them. They were really starting to put together string together some wins. I believe they swept one of these teams. I don't know if it was the Falcons or Buccaneers, but they beat one of them teams. They swept one of the teams in the division. And Tyler Shuck came in, he looked pretty solid. Kellen Moore, it started looking shaky in the beginning of the season, but he really got that offense together towards the end. And the defense had a lot of improvement. Chase Young had probably his best career in the NFL. So yeah, man, we get some good things. The Saints they finally have a little something going for themselves. If they can nail these draft picks, they can really make noise in this division next year. So I gave him a C plus. Things are looking up for him.
Yeah.
Got to see
Oop.
more games of Shuck though, because we all have been witness victim to the small sample size first year QB. The next year it's like, who in the world is this dude?
Right. Moving on. So we talked about the Panthers. We talked about the Bucks. Falcons. Falcons. Whew, man, I'm gonna give him a D minus.
Dang.
I'm gonna give him a D minus. Um, I expected the Falcons to be very competitive this year, fighting for the division crown. I think they won, I want to say maybe 7 games, 7 or 8 games.
I think
Like
they
they
won 8.
8 games. Let me
Yeah,
check.
because
Let me
they're
get the
picking.
Falcons record.
I think
They
they're
won
picking.
8 games. You
Yeah,
know what? All right, not D minus. I'll give them a C minus. I'll give them a
I
C
gave them a
minus.
D
Wow, wow.
because
I give
they
them.
they just didn't meet expectations. Like Raheem Morse was terrible. The defense wasn't great. Michael Penix wasn't good. Then he ended up tearing his knee up. Then Kirk Cousins came in. He had a couple decent games. Bijan Robinson didn't go as crazy as I expect him to do. Drake London was dealing with injury. Cal Pitts actually had a good year,
The
but it's just I don't know.
quarterback play was awful. I will. You know what? I agree with you. I had him at a D minus. Maybe that was a bit too harsh. I'll give him a D plus, just for the
Okay,
simple
that's fair.
fact that there was some bright spots.
It
Like I
was.
thought the defense over exceeded expectations because normally the Falcons defense has been the Achilles heel of that team, but this past year with their new defensive coordinator, he's really uh given them some sort of identity. The defensive line for the Falcons was really the bright spot, and it was really a surprise to me because I didn't think they were going to be that good. And I know they drafted 2 edge rushers, and one of them is probably not going to be with them anymore. But anywho, that's a different story for another day. But regardless, that season they were the bright spot of that team outside of that safety, their All Pro safety. I give him a D plus because of the defense and because Bijan Robinson was still amazing. Drake London, he was still really good when he was healthy and had consistent quarterback play. Kyle Pitts, he had a resurgence as well. But that quarterback play, man, Michael Penix, Kirk Cousins, just all time awful. And I would hate to be a Falcons fan because there is no hope. There is no
Yeah,
hope.
they don't have a first this year either.
No, because the former GM,
Terry
he got
Fontenot, yeah.
fired. Yeah, he got fired for a reason because he traded a first round pick for, good Lord, James Pierce Jr. Um, I don't think we need to talk about.
Yeah,
Uh,
we don't need to talk about
I don't
that
think we
whole
need.
disasters.
Yeah, yeah. The signs were there, but anywho, yeah,
Them
they
Turkey
traded.
confirmed reports, they be having some.
Yeah, you know what? You know what, Effie? Let's talk about it real quick because I went back and watched an old video that we did. I remember I was doing my Packer, like top 5 players that I want the Packers to target in the NFL draft. And I remember I was like, I'm taking James Pierce Jr. off my draft board because Brian said X, Y, and Z. He heard X, Y, and Z about him. And boy, was I right and was Brian right because, dog, the fact that after one season he couldn't hold it together. You would think after he gets his big payday that maybe he gets over his head or something and he thinks he's untouchable and then all of a sudden he crashes out. But after your rookie year, nah,
Bad for
he's
business.
he's a menace to society. Like he's a menace to society. After your rookie year is crazy.
Yeah, I now I want to know how much stuff they was covering up at Tennessee because this is wild.
Tennessee, what about his high school? Remember the guy, his
Yeah, the
former
high school.
high
He said
school
he's
teammate?
legit crazy. Yeah,
Come on, Tennessee, man. What about his high school? What do they cover up in his high school? But anywho, yeah, Falcons, I give a D plus, and I think that's it for the NFC South.
yeah, that's
Let's go to we did North, we did South.
West.
Let's go West. Go NFC West. You already know Seattle Seahawks. This is an easy one. A plus.
A plus.
A
Super
plus.
Bowl champs. Come on now.
Come on. Everything from free agency to the draft to the season itself, from regular
Coaching,
season,
all of it, man.
coaching,
They
everything.
earned
A
that.
plus.
Yeah.
They did everything they needed to do to win a Super Bowl. And it no the injuries, they didn't have the injury bug like many other teams. They defeated a pretty good opponent in the Rams in the playoffs and in the regular season. They beat the Rams in the regular season to get the number 1 seed and win their division. everything went right for Seattle. They did everything right. It was ethical way
Only
of
lost
doing
3
things.
football games the entire year. They got it. They got the A plus.
They got it. They got the A plus. They got the A plus. Rams. I'm gonna give the Rams a.
I gave him an A.
I'll give them an A minus.
Okay,
I'll
that's
give them an
fair.
A minus. Here's why I'll give them an A minus. I would give them an A, but because of what happened at the end of the season, I gotta give them an A minus. Here's my thing. Because I believe they lost to the Falcons. I want to say one of the
They did,
losses was against the Falcons. They didn't play all that well. Losing to
and the
Seattle,
Panthers. Yeah.
losing to Seattle was huge. Losing to the Panthers, like you mentioned, losing to Seattle twice. I got to give them an A minus because they finished kind of sloppy, nearly losing to the Panthers, nearly losing to the Bears. They were competitive against Seattle, but throughout that game, it felt like Seattle they had the advantage. It felt like they were controlling the game. I got to give them an A minus. You had the MVP and Matthew Stafford. You had a pretty decent defense. Special teams let them down yet again. Like it was just so many things that went wrong towards the end of the season. Normally, I would give them an A if, let's say, Seattle wins the division and then the Rams beat Seattle. They go to the Super Bowl and they win the Super Bowl. I'll be like, all right, I give them an A. But because of all the events that occurred late in the season and in the playoffs, I gotta give it A minus.
Yeah, I gave him an A pretty much. They made the championship game.
They did.
Um, Matthew Stafford MVP season. Puka had a crazy year. He was healthy for most of the year too, so that was a plus. They finally got the 1-2 punch with Blake Coleman and Kyron Williams going, like many thought they would last year when Blake Coleman was a rookie. The defense was a disappointment at times, especially towards the end of the year. They couldn't stop really much anybody. Jared Verse didn't go crazy like he did his rookie season, and like I said, the special teams was terrible. It was really just the offense out there doing all the work. But you get to the NFC Championship game, I give you a.
I also think Sean McVay's play calling late in the game was very skeptical. We talked about
4 runs.
we talked about this. I know D Law. I know your boy D Law. He went off script,
Yeah,
but at the same time, having Puka as a decoy in the play of the game, the play that decided your chances of going to the Super Bowl was kind of crazy. Like he's your best weapon, and just
yeah,
have him as a decoy. Anywho, yeah. Moving on. Let's go to the Arizona Cardinals.
I gave him an F.
F. Like I don't think there was anything good that transpired from the Cardinals. To Marvin Harrison Jr. not
Wilson
living up
had a
to
good year.
expectations. To Kyler Murray just regressing before our very eyes, and now
Jonathan getting punching players on the sideline. The defense terrible. Marvin Harrison Jr. not doing anything yet again. James Conner got hurt for the year. Everything just went. It was just god awful for them.
mhm, yeah,
Them
there was
boys
nothing,
lost
no
like
bright spot.
every game to close the season out, except that game against the Cowboys, of course. But
Hmm.
yeah, after that, when they lost every single game, they're terrible.
Yeah, pretty much. Then we have the other team, the 49ers. You know what? I'm gonna give who this I would give the 49ers a B plus.
That's what I
I'm
gave him. Yeah,
gonna give them a B plus. They had so many again, 49ers always have injuries. There's some
it's
conspiracy going
that
around.
electromagnetic fields. They cooking them.
There's some conspiracy going around, but I'm not gonna get into that too much. I'm gonna give them a B plus because they dealt with so many injuries and they were still competitive. They still had an opportunity to win the division despite all of the injuries and despite Brock Purdy being out for a good portion of games. Mac Jones was able to keep them afloat, win them a good chunk of games. He played okay for them, and they were very competitive. I give them a B plus because one, they didn't win their division when they went up against Seattle. Seattle smacked them in the face like whoop that ass. Like it was crazy. It was really crazy. Um, but they were very competitive, man. It's just at the end of the day, they just didn't have enough.
Yeah, gave him B plus because all the top defensive players went down, and they still was able to win those many games and won a playoff game. So I'll give him that. CMC had a full healthy year for once. Um,
Yeah, yeah, he was fantastic.
George Kittle did it, but yeah, but they still was able to win 10 plus. They actually what they won 12 games.
Yeah, they won 12
Yeah,
games. Yeah,
so and you won a playoff game too. So I'll give you a B plus.
yeah, I give you a B plus. And you know what's crazy also is the Brandon Ayuk situation.
Oh yeah,
They didn't have Brandon Ayuk out there. They really had Jawan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall. He's been a disappointment. I haven't heard much about him in a minute. So
yeah, yeah. Freaking Kendrick Bourne out there.
Kendrick Bourne was getting burned, and he was actually doing some damage. They next man up mentality, and they were able to get
The schedule
12
was
games.
easy, but
It
still,
was, and I told you before. See, I was
yeah,
like, yo,
you
this
did.
they gonna bounce back, and you were like, yeah, I don't know about that. I was like, okay, we'll see, and they did in record fashion. But anywho, so we did the West, the South, the East, the North. That's I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. We on the
That's it.
AFC now.
So you know what? What we'll do is we'll save the AFC next week.
Okay.
We'll do a part two because we're gonna be here all night if we do the AFC as well.
No, that's
So
fair. That's fair.
let's get to the final segment real quick. Brian, it's the end of the season. For 17, 18 weeks, we've been doing the salute segment where you select 3 or 4 players that had the best performances of that week. I got to ask you, Brian, who is your salute player of the year?
Oh man, my salute player of the year. There's a lot of candidates. We had Josh Allen. We had Miles Garrett made the list a few times. JSN made the list a few times. Puka made the list a few times. Jonathan Taylor early in the season made the list of quite a few times. Jameer Gibbs was on there a few times. Pickens was on there a few times. But if there can only be one, and that one is the Super Bowl champion, offensive player of the year, JSN Jackson Smith and Jigba had a whopping 1,700 yards, nearly 1,800 yards, 10 touchdowns, but he had 15 yards per catch. JSN, he was unguardable. Like he was unguardable this year. He was giving crazy work to everybody on the field, and it all culminated into a phenomenal storybook ending for them this year, winning the Super Bowl. So the salute segment player of the year, JSN. Salute.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that one. JSN was fantastic this year from start to finish. I think I can't remember the week where you had him on your salute segment for the first time, but it was like in the early part of the season. Ever since
I want
then,
to say it was week 4 or 5
yeah, ever
because he had
since
that
then,
crazy game against Tampa
yeah,
Bay. He had 132, 8 catches and a touchdown. Then the next game he followed that up with 162 and a touchdown. So he was on one of them. He might have been on both.
he was very consistent throughout the season. Like he would show up in the early part, middle part, and obviously at the end as well, even in the playoffs. He was always there. He was always a standout. Jackson Smith and Jigba was sensational. That's why he deserved that Offensive Player of the Year award. The dude
Mm,
was the best wide receiver in football. And Justin Jefferson, better watch out. Better watch out
Hey,
because Jackson Smith and Jigba is coming for you.
Jason, not Jason, Jettas, he need a daggone QB because he barely scraped that 1,000 yards.
That's true. Yeah, he does. Yep.
Yeah, I'm telling the wide receiver rank is getting a little shaky now. Puka done solidified himself up there. My boy CD, we got to get back. We got to get back in the lab. We got to get back. You can't let GP outshine you like that in his first year with the start. You got to shake back because your status is in jeopardy. GP made that all pro of you, CD. You can't. You better get him back.
You better get him back. Chase, he's still
Chase is
Chase, he's
still
still
Jamal.
elite.
Yeah,
He's still one of the best, top three, arguably still the best receiver in football. And yeah, man, the receiver list is shuffling up. Justin Jefferson, what you going to do about it? Because things could change very quickly if you can't replicate back-to-back good seasons. If you have one down year and then you have another down year,
it's gonna get a
your
little wicked.
reputation is in the tank. So, anywho, I think that'll do it for this episode of the Courtside View podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment down below, hit the notification bell, follow the socials, and we will see you all in the next episode of the Courtside View podcast. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.
Salute.